Welcome to episode 5, season 1 of the Northeast Cannabis Tour as a North American Cannabis Tour. I'm here hosting for the Northeast 420 hour. I'm here with my heady friends, Austin and Pete from Prepacks, holding down New England. What's up, boys?
Going on, Jake? Thanks for having us on.
Of course. So, what's the weather like over there? You guys are in New England. Tell me where you guys are at right now.
I'm up here in Mass.
The weather's
go for it, Austin.
Massachusetts and Rhode Island. So the weather's starting to cool off. Summer's been hot. Haven't had any, so finally rain in the region. Plants are happy today for sure.
Definitely coming on that. This harvest will probably be around October, I think. And yeah, it's been raining. Our Cali friends know nothing of that. Well, I'm so excited to get to talk to you guys. We met at Emerald Cup Awards this year, right? And in Hollywood, and it was epic. I got introduced to your product, so Prepacks. I actually got introduced to the product, I think, at Harvest Ball. So shout out to Tim Blake and the whole Emerald family for, all of those synchronicities. I fuck with these guys heavy. I love their product. It has the potential, before we jump into it, has the potential, I think, to change a lot of scenarios, whether it's judging for competitions, whether it's consumption in a more flavor-focused, scenario. There's so many applications, whether it's a bar mitzvah or a fucking blowout, it doesn't matter. You can have something made for it, and that's really cool. I say let's jump in. Pete, do you want to just sort of give us a overview of what we're talking about? And Austin, you can kind of visualize for us.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about this. And Jake, honestly, on behalf of Prepacks, we're really pumped to be able to start showing more people about this, because for those of you that are in the Northeast, you've probably seen these, because we're, Prepacks is in 18 states, but the Northeast is our home. And, here in the Northeast, it's common. You walk into a dispensary and you can buy a chillum filled with cannabis, clean, pharmaceutical grade glass. We're not talking about adulterating your flavorful experience with a cultivar with paper and glue. Right? We're talking about something really clean. And it's been really exciting to bring this to market. And, you brought up some cool stuff about brands, and we're definitely excited to be able to work with a lot of brands, because we're not a cannabis company ourselves. We're in the ancillary space. We focus on making the glass, but we're definitely glad to have, we have, I think now over 75 filling partners, which is, pretty phenomenal to think about the number of labels that our customers are putting out. But yeah, it's been a long journey. And Austin, I think and some of the things that Austin can speak to, the way that, as the founder of this company, really did some awesome things that come from being able to care about the quality of flavor and judging and creating those experiences for people with the product. So Austin, I'd love for you to share how you came up with this, man.
Yeah, thanks. Real quick, I guess the idea of having pre-filled chillums with specific and cultivar labels came by just wanting to try more varieties without eighths of all these different varieties. So the idea was create a clean American-made glass chillum and filling systems so that brands could pre-fill chillums and retail them, so that us cannabis enthusiasts can try a wide variety of brands and cultivars, ready to use, affordable, recyclable. That's the idea behind it. And we've created filling systems, bong adapters, displays, and like Pete mentioned, we have brand partners, filling partners all over the country, and we're also doing lots of events, making films for all sorts of parties, cannabis events, but weddings, birthdays, you can imagine we create custom chillums for.
I love it. What year did you start this endeavor?
This started, the idea was to 2015 in Colorado, but we didn't launch the business in 19. So it took a few years. From 2013 on, I was making hash, doing post work, making pre-rolls, doing all that stuff. But the whole time I was thinking, I really want to create this. And it took years and years, logistics, but finally we were able to get a product domestically, glass, American-made chillums, American customization, and we launched in 2018, and we've been growing ever since.
Hell yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, like, the timing is very interesting. Like, so you mentioned the amount of filling partners you have, et cetera, 2019, and my head just says, oh, pandemic. Meaning, this seems like, just dawned on me, this is really a perfect pandemic product, or a perfect product to come out of the pandemic.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was good, and it was just like all businesses. There, linings. I think one of the obvious silver linings is people were looking for that they didn't necessarily have to pass around or share a way that everyone could get together and try variety. Everyone has their own piece, but there were some challenges associated with it because a new product category into a market where people going into dispensaries and stores makes awareness a little more difficult. But we have a great team. Pete's out there; he's a road warrior. We have a bunch of other great teammates, and we were able to get it out working with the brands, and it's taking hold.
Yeah.
Pete, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say something really interesting happened the other day, in terms of like with COVID, right? And not wanting to pass a pre-roll around. We were at an event the other night and there were probably 8 or 9 of us standing in a circle. And it was really cool because nobody was passing a pre-roll around. Everybody was passing a lighter around and everybody just had their own pre-packs. It was, it was a cool moment to see because you look in the social consumption world and it's not just like, the wave of COVID, but it's also as social consumption's becoming more accessible. We're seeing cannabis brands across the country, whether it's some of the private brands here on the East Coast or something like a Hall of Flowers out West, where, in a B2B space, we're seeing a lot more consumption and hopefully, we'll see that translate to consumers as well. But the pre-pack really fits into that. As a way to have something that's delivered to you that's clean, that you can trust. You don't have somebody packing the bowl on site, right? It's all done, metric compliant. Really, really exciting opportunity for the product to be created. So as Austin talks about creating a category, there's definitely some exciting challenges there, but we definitely have a really strong team to help support our partners.
So I would almost define it as so say what you said with the category, creating a category. Did you say? I would say you're redefining a generations old category, which is what's even more impressive. The one hitter, the chillum, like that classic kind of like, there's, at least for me, like I remember like stealing, like in camp, right? Summer camp, we were like 13, something like that. We would like, grab our counselor's chillum that we knew like where that was, and like fucking hit his resin or some shit, so it's just funny that I think one hitters, etc., hold like a very nostalgic place, at least in my heart, and I think in most consumers' hearts. So what I love about it is it's beyond like so it's a lot of things. It's an elevated take. It's a cleaner take from a lot of, from just like a hygiene as well as like, pharmaceutical grade glass scenario. But it's an elevation of a timeless consumption method. And that's something to be very proud of. It's like very often things in the space, especially ancillaries that are kind of useless, for lack of a better term, or kind of just kitschy, will come and go and fall by the wayside. But it's super clear that there are like very tangible utilitarian value that is added by prepacks beyond just being a wicked sick product, to throw in some New England slang for all the watchers, right? But watchers, I don't know, viewers. But either way, so I'm thinking, could you guys maybe, because immediately my head is judging. Like, sorry, I'm a one-track mind right now. Like the capacity for prepacks to revolutionize cannabis judging competitions is where my head goes. So what am I talking about?
Yeah, so I totally agree with everything you're saying. So I've also been a fan of chillums since I started smoking. And a couple things that we've adjusted it with our chillum is a larger bowl capacity. We thought that was important. Of one hitters that we grew up with, or the small chillums, have a very capacity of like just a couple hits. We've enlarged our chamber. It fills 0.35 grams of flower. Relating that to the judging experience, it's hard to really a cultivar when you're only taking a couple hits. Having a 0.35 packed and stacking that up against other 0.35s packed the same way, all the varieties hit the same, be smoked through clean glass, so the flavor won't be distorted by any resin buildup or anything. And having that substantial pack, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits in there, 10 or 15 if you take minutes, it really allows you to spend some time with each variety, and just enjoy all the nuances, rather than just speeding through, taking a couple hits and trying to catch what you can flavor profiles of a particular variety. So judging and judging is something that we definitely see a big future in. It's something we're looking to put more and more energy into with groups to host judgments. I think, we smoke these together with people all the time, and that's definitely something we're interested in collaborating, brands, event groups with anybody who wants to taste a bunch of different. This product is certainly meant for that.
For sure. No, I actually, I'm going to stop and Pete, because he might have something to throw in, but I have something to throw in, which is like, man, the amount of flour that is needed for a competition is actually quite daunting, right? So that's one area. And the second is, anyone who sees the cannabis world on Instagram, like 12, 15 rolled up joints like this, smoked down, this much, and so this is my thought, is if we're really trying to take this into an echelon of connoisseur level, and this is coming from a joint smoker myself, like I know what papers I like the taste of. Therein lies something that is interesting in okay, so if I can acknowledge that I know the difference between 3 brands of paper, and I know which papers usually by taste are just white labeled versions of another, well then clearly I have I have some mastery of the taste of burning paper, which is going to definitely get in the way of tasting terps. So I don't care what side you're on. I'm not even a glass consumer usually, and I see the implications and the ability for prepacks to just change the game on such a positive level that I think it's bipartisan in that way.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Point. Yeah, Pete, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's definitely we're working towards making fair tasting accessible across a lot of different ways, because like you said, look, there's bias. Like I'm a traditional pre-roll, like a joint smoker. I roll joints. That's until I came to prepacks. Now I smoke a lot of chillum, but that flavor bias is definitely there for folks. And you'd mentioned Emerald Cup earlier, like a real pinnacle in judging quality in our culture, right? And one of the questions that was asked to them as a judging panel, kind of why don't you use glass in your judging, was a really, really interesting response for us to hear, because it was, well, because we would need fresh glass for every cultivar and for every entry. And we really appreciate that, because we agree with that, right? And, probably some folks are listening and thinking like, well, that's a lot of glass, right? Because if somebody's judging, now, Jake, you've judged, you know what it's like to roll 100 pre-rolls of 100 different entries and go through those. But like, so somebody might be thinking like the recyclability, but that's one of the beautiful pieces to this too that I think is worth mentioning is they're fully recyclable. And I don't know about you, Jake, but I do drink beer, and I don't refill my beer bottles, right? I put them in the recycling bin when I'm done.
And I don't refill with beer.
Right. This takes like, you can certainly refill it, but it should really be a guilt-free and environmentally conscious way that you can still recycle this, but then have, let yourself as that judge get a pure experience with the taste of that flower for every single entry. Whether it's the first entry or the last, let that glass be crystal clear and fresh. And don't, let the judging time be the time that you have to be pulling out the ISO and cleaning out all your pieces. And I think that, when we look at wanting to make judging more accessible in the realms of more people being able to judge, like, what a better way to deliver a digestible experience. Whether you're going to a brewery for a flight tasting, we hope to see something like that in the cannabis world as well. And this is certainly a perfect vehicle for that.
Definitely. Yeah, please, Austin. I'm speechless.
Oh yeah. So a couple things, relevant to the recyclability. The amount of glass in each chillum, it takes 15 chillums to make a single beer. So that's the quantity of glass we're talking about. So to the recycle effect, it's, no one's used to recycle chillums, but hopefully we'll come to see that as a more normal thing to do. The point you brought up about it takes a lot of flour to get it out to a lot of judges.
Like
if you
pound
were to fill
pound of flour for those out there who are
exactly. So if I had it takes about 3 ounces. So I could take 3 ounces and I could fill 250 chillums filling system in less than 10 minutes. So for a tasting, a set of chillums, 250 chillums with a particular variety, we're talking about 3 hours and 10 minutes. So the amount of cannabis used to get those quantities out there is far less than a gram pre-roll or something like that. So that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
The nuance, to me, it's the nuance of, like, I know when I roll a joint, like, I'm not proud of this joint. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's not. Meaning this is definitely going to impact in some way my how it's rolled, who it's rolled by. Every other facet of the ritual is for sure going to cloud my judgment in terms of, everything in terms of the flower itself. That's just the reality of it. Like, the whole consumption experience of this, leveling the playing field is one piece. Like, the experience playing field. I mean, it's sort of like the closest one can get to a control in an experiment. That's one huge thing I'm really excited about. But then the second is the customization element. So, like, imagine one was throwing their own cup. They could literally, because I've fucked around with it, I've messed around with it for hours on end. They could go to Prepack's website and they could very seamlessly and easily, with no knowledge of like graphic design or whatever, be like, okay, we got the Jetwork Cup coming up. So like, and actually have, say they can put their own, entry one, as sophisticated as some crazy graphic with the farm's logo, or just like, keeping it numbered like it should be for a competition. Like, that just seems like, from logistical, efficiency standpoint, all of that, like it's so money. And before I get off of that topic, or before you guys tell me more about it, that website is so killer. So the customization factor, being able to throw literally anything you want on this chillum in such a convenient and like actually user friendly, like that word is used super loosely, like an actually like super sick format, and then you can just see a rendering of it, and it's just like you guys have really, I'm excited by it. I think you guys have something to be proud of. Talk about the website and like the custom features and stuff like that a little bit.
So anyone go on to prepacks.com, and you can, like you said, you can upload a photograph with text on it, put your wedding photos, and hand them out as gifts there, or you can upload your brand's logo. You can put whatever you want on. So the opportunities are literally endless, and we have people uploading all sorts of stuff, art that they've created, pictures of memories they want to celebrate. Obviously, we mostly deal with cultivar artwork and brand art, and you can use, we have foils, elements, anything you want on other packaging or box or mylars, you can do on chillums. And the website, yeah, you can upload any design you want straight from your iPhone or your laptop or your Android phone or computer. You can upload your designs right there. You can purchase them, and we'll make them and ship them out to you and receive them in just a couple weeks.
So I got something from you guys, right? And let's see, am I in camera here? Okay. So just as an example, right? So we have these. It's more than just a pre-packed chillum, right? It's more than just a branded chillum. Like, let's be real. I'm actually a little astonished. Okay, so we have a scenario here. Okay, so I got from the boys. This is just like your regular like retail like package, right? These happen to be custom for the North American Weed Tour of 2022, which is just super dope in and of itself. And these can be branded as well. But we're talking a filler, okay? Like an actual, like, we'll get into this in a second. We're talking an actual filler. We're talking like pieces that like I didn't realize even were necessary, but then you open it and you're like, duh, right? And this is just on the small end. Like this is on like the home if I were to do this at home. You guys have thought of everything. You have created absolutely gorgeous pieces, but I was wondering, I know you have right there, Austin, something in front of you. Can you show the viewers like what you got going on here? Like, how does this work?
So what you have there is what we call a filling system. It's just a scaled down version of our full filling system, but pointing out a couple of before I jump into that, long adapters, so you can smoke your chillums through your.
I'm so glad.
I'm
so glad you brought that up. No, I'm sorry, Pete. You were telling me about this epic. Oh my God, you're absolutely right. The ones. All right.
Yeah, we got I got the little guy here.
I believe I've forgotten, right? So honestly, hold those students up real quick, okay? Hold those student glasses up again, please. Just so I can get a shot for the homies over at Student Glass. Shout out Grenko. What up? So anyway, this is hilarious because this is the best. I saw this and I'm like, oh, word, one of those like COVID-y bong adapter things. And I say, filler, right? And I kept interrupting Pete, like trying to guess what it was. So what am I looking at? And why'd you just hold those up?
So this is a killer accessory. This is hats off to our engineering team, our design team for pulling this off. But this is like a lot of people, it's become their new favorite way of consuming their chillum. So, something that I think adds some really good color to this is, let's say you're buying, a bunch of chillums, or you want to do that flavor test from a store and you buy a bunch. I mean, if I'm somebody that likes smoking out of a water pipe, like what a better way. Like this thing will fit in any device. But really the reason that we love Student Glass in this is that we love pre-packs in a social environment, right? And when we thought about using this bong adapter in a social environment, what a better group than the team over at Student Glass that's really nailed it at bringing water pipes into in whether it's a B2B event or some of these really awesome breakthrough consumer events and smoking lounges that are out now. So it's actually really cool. In a couple different smoking lounges like Artistry down in LA or New Woo in Vegas, you can actually rent a Student Glass and get a pre-pack with a bong adapter, and you can smoke your Student Glass like that at the lounge, which is like a super, super cool way to experience the product.
Super objectively fucking cool. I'm sorry. That is that like I wouldn't have guessed. I could have had 100 tries like to guess what that was, and like I wouldn't have got it right because that just blows the lid off of it. And from an environment, I mean, you told me when we were talking more about it, you said that people don't want to pack bowls in like a dab bar environment, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, think about a bud tender, right? Like how nice that would be to just be able to open up pre-packs or serve somebody a set of pre-packs or a flight, really, and be able to then plug that in or just use them as chillum. I mean, it fits a really great opportunity. Then as the consumer, when you're going in, there's something to be said about that product was packaged and delivered for you from a safe, clean environment. So really, really cool in the consumption space to be able to offer that. And yeah, we're really happy that we were able to do some really cool activations over the past year with the folks over there. So look forward to doing a lot more.
And I'll say, sometimes we'll have bong bars set up, and packing bowls for 1,000 people or 50 people is really tough, and cleaning in that bowl gets really dirty really quick. A couple hundreds, it's pretty dirty.
And time is money. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
we
so
served
to use this, and then once it's out, put it in a fresh one. It saves a lot of time and a lot of cleaning.
Yeah, and then the consumer gets to take it with them, right? Like whoever's at the party, like what a cool keepsake. You get to rip it off the Student Glass and you get to take it with you. Like,
no, it's honestly, I absolutely love it because it's another, like, it's something I always go back to, which is I'm a fan of any ancillary product that can add value and build brand equity and in flower and in cannabis companies, because that's the long and short of it is we're so limited in terms of advertisements, you name it. It gets to a point where, aside from branding with cigar bands and filter tips and pre-roll boxes, right? Well, what happens when someone takes that pre-roll out of the box? What happens to the brand equity? So it's diluted.
Yeah.
So it's such a clever way. You just branded a bowl, and why that's important, I should say, is because the cultivator who put their blood, sweat, and tears behind that flower and into that flower, well, in a market that's so saturated and it's so cutthroat and so tough, being able to have, you essentially created an outlet out of thin air that allows people to do just that and to represent themselves in the product that they bring to market, which is really awesome.
Yeah, it's big time. I think back to the first time I ever bought a pre-roll in a legal market was way back in Washington and Seattle, and like early days of the adult use in Seattle. And I remember, it's sad because I don't remember the brand that I bought my first pre-roll from. And, the reason is because I went into the store and I bought, the craziest infused, like whatever, give me the most expensive, crazy pre-roll you've got. I just, and we all walked down to the pier, and like, I remember taking it out of its packaging, throwing the packaging away. And then as I'm passing it around, I noticed like all that was on the paper was the word raw, right? And I forgot what brand that was. And I'll never remember what brand that was that I smoked that day. But like the reality for me, like, and like for a lot of the consumers that are going, like they deserve a little bit of a better experience. And the people that are putting their heart and soul into delivering these products, their brands deserve to live longer than just that one session. And so it's really nice to be able to use this as a tool to help them, deliver that brand experience.
So well said. And the fact that you just like proved my point. The fact that you remember the word raw. You remember, that's what you remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning, yeah, it's powerful. Austin, I had interrupted you when you were going to show off the machine, the filler, because this is something I haven't broken into yet because I don't know.
What you have there, that's our mini filler that can fill 12 chillums at a time. 6-pack fillers, so you can fill a 6-pack really quickly and easily. But what I'll show you, I'll just put the camera down a little bit. When we ship chillums, we ship them out in cases of 250, and when you enter the chambers are facing upwards, and we have a filling system that fits the chillums. This is all patent pending, but we have different packings, and essentially what you do is pour your flour, whether it's just flour or infused flour, pour right into the film. Using really easy carding and packing technique, the chillums, take the tray up, and you'll have 256 chillums evenly filled, ready to go. So, if you're having company over, it will take you no time to fill up those. If you're filling 250 to supply, it takes about 10 minutes to fill and cap 250. So systems, display stands, 6 minis, bong adapters. The other thing you mentioned briefly, this is a little back tool. So it's a keychain with a stainless steel pick in it, which is obviously useful for all sorts of smoking and non-smoking related. But this is great for cleaning out, repacking it. Another nice part about this,
I used it to package last night. I didn't know what it was. I did exactly that, but with a joint, and it's multi-use.
Exactly. It works great for that as well. Is that how many things I end up using? You can always use stainless steel pin dab with this if you're ever in a pinch. But another great feature, this is on your keychain. When you're smoking, you can just put your cap on there for your chillum. You don't have to hold on to your cap or whatever.
Everything.
So all sorts of accessories. We have more out all the time. Hopefully soon you'll see carrying cases, windproof lighter, anything to make smoking flower more accessible and easy is what we're about. And enjoying cannabis wherever we can, smoking herb wherever. Well, this is a little crazy, but I hope that soon I'll be able to smoke flower while skydiving for X-rays that we're developing.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I remember you told me about that at Emerald Cup. Tell everyone about that because it's super epic.
Well, I have to get it done, but we're trying to smoke flower while try to be the I think why not kind of deal. Sorry, what was that?
Would it be the first? And anyone ever done it before?
Not to our knowledge.
Not to our knowledge. Can't,
hit
vapes and whatnot, but smoking flower.
The logistics issues seem to be quite tough, and so you guys are working on something behind that, which you don't have to say any more about. But that's something exciting to look at.
Especially we're prototyping stuff all the time, but we're smoking in blizzards. We're smoking while on boats. Anywhere where it's been difficult. Flower, even on a windy beach, helping really simple, easy to use lighter systems for those use cases. But what I found, with those prototypes, you don't get the same flavor with a soft flame. I still prefer smoking with, a normal lighter or something like that, trying to taste.
Leave it to a couple of New England dudes to like, we smoking that here in blizzards. I love it. It's like trying to it's funny because you guys at your core, I think, are problem solvers, because that's what Prepex is. It's a problem solver. And it's one of those products that it solves issues that I didn't even know were issues until you're like, oh, duh. And that's like the sign of a perfect product. Like, it's not what you know. It's not what you don't know. It's what you don't know. Right. And I saw firsthand, you guys showed me, show not tell, showed me the applications, and then my mind just went wild from there. So it's exciting. I'm pumped to see, what you guys come out. I'm honestly like, how long ago was Emerald Cup? Like 5 months, 6 months, something like that. Like the fact that you guys have came this far, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And since 2019 with the filling partners, I expect to see you everywhere. I'm glad to know you now, because it's definitely going upwards. What can people? Is there anything you want to draw viewers to watch out for? Like, I mean, I know we've talked about a little bit of it, but there's so much stuff coming down the line for Prepacks. Can you give us like a little taste?
I'll say that we've got some really exciting states on the horizon. I know that our team's been working really hard looking, we mentioned earlier we're in 18 states, but we're looking to really build that presence up even stronger. Really hats off to everybody on our team that's not even here with us right now, right? Like there's a lot more than just Austin and I, and especially our retail support team. Like there's some guys that are out there doing some really amazing work to help keep Prepacks on the forefront as we introduce it into new markets. And what they're doing to connect with consumers. Definitely really excited to see some of the announcements they've got coming up in the next few months as we go into the fall and as summer starts wrapping up. But, I think that's something that, we're definitely pretty proud of, is the work that they do to connect with people on, in a way that a lot of other ancillary brands, not saying that they don't do it, but, I'd say that we make a pretty strong effort to listen to what people are how they're using our product. And, we're not the only ones that are going out there smoking these things in blizzards, right? Like we're finding out from our consumers so many different ways in which they're using these things. Whether it's at a student glass, in a smoking lounge, or somebody jumping out of an airplane, like we're all ears from our consumers. What is the next thing that you want to see Prepacks done with? Is it a judging competition? What is that going to be? So there's a lot of really cool things coming up, and we're, certainly we get all of that excitement from our awesome customers and brand partners. So
that's awesome. Austin, where can they find you guys? Yeah, please.
Yeah, no. Anyone thinks they'd like to try collaborating with us, we're open to work on all sorts of projects, all sorts of people and groups. So they can reach on Instagram at Prepacks US, or right on our website, prepacks.com. You reach out. We're excited to explore any opportunities.
Awesome. Well, honestly, it's been a pleasure. I love getting to chop it up with you guys. It was synchronistic that we got to do that. Pete called me, and it just so happens, and it was really excited. Psyched to see what you guys have on the horizon, and there might even be something we're doing together. And I think you guys are already doing something with RMR, so there's a lot of epic collabs on the horizon, whatnot, and. Yeah, hell yeah. This is very cool. It's good to talk to a couple people in the space who definitely are trying to come correct, for sure, and are truly about the flower. So, fuck yeah. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Tuesday.